What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Ad Podcast. We are here at the beautiful Havas Cafe just outside the Mondrian on the Placette. And we've got Jorge Plasencia, who is the CEO of Republica Havas and also the Global Chief Client Officer of the Havas Network. Jorge, thanks for coming on, man.
Oh, great to have you here, man.
Yeah, appreciate you having us over.
Not bad being in the south of France.
I know, and we're in the AC for a few minutes. It's
yes,
quite a premium.
At the Havas Cafe, we've got this great kind of meeting space.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And we were able to use it for the podcast.
Let's go.
Thanks to my colleagues at Havas for lending it to us. But we've got some AC because it's really hot.
I know, it's crazy,
it's
but it's
it feels
worth
like
it,
Miami,
right? I know.
It feels like Miami this year. It's like, wow.
Yeah,
it's really hot.
Well, you know, it's part of the ambiance, I think,
Absolutely.
of you gotta enjoy it. It's good when you can get out to the beach when the whole thing ends, right?
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and what do you guys got going on this week?
Yeah, man. So, founded Republica 20 years ago this year. So we're celebrating our 20th anniversary with Luis Casamira, who's my business partner and our creative chairman. And we built that down in Miami to become kind of one of the flagship agencies that works in the cross-cultural space in America, right? So that grew and did really well. And 8 years ago, joined forces with Havas.
Nice.
So it's been a great 8-year run so far with Havas.
Yeah.
They've been great partners and colleagues, and we've really built something special. And then I kind of have that, and also this role where I support Donna Murphy, who's our global CEO, with efforts with some of the global clients.
Amazing.
So kind of have my hands in different things, but really enjoy being with Havas and the work we do. I think of the different holding companies. We call ourselves the challenger.
I like that.
We're the challenger.
Sure.
We're family led.
Yep.
So the Bolloré family leads Havas, and you really feel that within the company. You really feel that within the system of all of our agencies. It's more than 700 agencies and over 100 countries, right?
Yeah,
but,
it's huge.
But you really feel
Still a huge scale, but the freedom of
Correct.
being independent, so to speak.
That's correct. And and as an entrepreneur coming to Havas,
Don't have to worry about reporting to Wall Street every quarter.
Well, you don't lose your independence. I mean, Havas is public in Europe, but been public now for a year. But you don't lose your independence. You really come here and they partner with you to build, right? And as an entrepreneur, as the agency founders or founders of different companies. Just today, this morning, at our press conference, Yannick Bolloré, our global chairman and CEO, he announced that we're investing in the next round of what's called Verve Labs, which is a whole agentic research system that we have at Havas, right?
Amazing.
So we're always doing things like that. So it's a very entrepreneurial company, and it's great. And this year you asked me about Cannes.
Yeah.
It's going well. Yesterday Havas won 10.
Nice.
10
Congratulations.
lines, including a Grand Prix yesterday.
Amazing.
Our colleagues at the Uncommon in the UK won that. But just so far so good. We've announced this morning something called the Science of Desire, which is our whole positioning for how we're working with companies and brands, and it's all about kind of consumers today. 84% of consumers are pretty much indifferent with brands.
It's essentially a staple unless it's something that they have.
Correct.
Like I recently heard a talk from the gentleman who is the first go-to-market or marketing executive at OpenAI, and he's talking a lot about agentic shopping when in very short order we're going to give away our credit cards to our agents, our shopping agents. And when that happens, most of the brands that are in your refrigerator and your cabinet and your toiletry, cabinet are going to be replaced based on price, preference, and availability. And they're not gonna care about brands, but the bots will have. You'll just now have to start marketing to bots, unless I say, when you buy cola, always buy Coke, or when you buy water, always buy Evian, etc. So it's going to change the way that consumers,
It's definitely a fascinating time.
Yeah, right.
Well, I was talking about Verve this morning. We, as part of that cohort of agents, we have over 3 million agents representing all sorts of different profiles around the world, pretty much, right?
Yep.
So just think about that, these millions of quote unquote consumers, and it's marrying the human with the agent in this research, right? So it's just fascinating how fast it's all happening, and you know, the reality is that at Havas, and I can tell you, Republica Havas, you know, we've been early adopters of a lot of that. You know, we're really, you know, we're putting it into our processes, we're putting it into you know, everything, our research, our work, and I think it's making us stronger. You know, as we say, the human partnering with the robot. You know, kind of, you know, joining forces together, working together. You know, as we say. It's not about replacing people.
It's human in the loop.
Exactly.
It's making humans more powerful.
That's exactly.
More
it's getting
productive.
us all superpowers, right?
Yeah, and to spend more time in the real world, right? Doing human things, because we're not stuck at our computers optimizing a spreadsheet.
It's so important, and you know, I recently gave a commencement speech, and
hope you didn't get booed like
a
lot of these guys.
I was gonna say, man, it was that week. It was that week, and I was giving this commencement.
It's like every tech bro that gives a commencement speech right now, get ready to, you know, wear a raincoat.
So it was that week, and what was interesting is I'm happy to report I did not get booed.
That's good. It was
in New Jersey City.
Let's go.
New Jersey City University. But where I'm going is, I made my comments very human.
That's cool.
And I feel that's what we need today.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
we need, as humans, we need to be humans. Let the bots be the bots.
Yep.
But we need to be humans. Yes, and AI is definitely changing everything, right? Absolutely.
Do you think, you know, a lot of the frontier lab AI companies, I almost feel like that they're positioning as AI being such a disruptive force, you know, the third industrial revolution. I mean, it's definitely big, and it's definitely here.
I was around for the dot-com
era,
and this is
similar.
This is even
bigger.
faster.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, like, it's not NFTs, it's not the metaverse. It's definitely a big thing. But one of the things that he was mentioning was that a lot of these guys kind of catastrophize the power of their tools in order to justify their valuations, right? You know, it's like at the end of the day, if you make claims that you're going to displace half the global workforce, that's, you know, something that investors want to be on the right side of, right? But what most of the practitioners in agency world and marketing, and even in the more heavier tech disciplines like technology, DSPs, media buying, seems like most of them, like I interviewed a gentleman yesterday who said, I have 150 coders. I didn't lay off any coders. Those 150 coders do 6 times the output that they were able to do before, and we can ship products faster. So it seems to me that most of the smart companies, I don't know if you saw the IKEA case study recently where they basically used AI to augment and or make their call centers and customer service channel much more effective. And instead of laying off all of their call center workers, all of their customer service people, they retrained them as interior designers, put them on the floor of IKEA's, built an entire new revenue stream, and allowed these folks to be tech-enabled enablers of their shopping experience and be on the floor with people versus answering the same questions on how do I screw this Allen wrench into this, you know, screw over the phone or something like that. So it seems like that's what smart companies are doing, is figuring out a way to unleash creativity, productivity, and human connection.
Absolutely. No, we see it, we feel it. You know, our clients, are embracing it. Yet they're very much valuing the importance of the human, right, and the importance of our people, right, and what our people bring to the table. I mean, we're seeing that. You know, we're definitely and especially you know, kind of that critical thinking that comes from, you know, from our teams, right? So absolutely,
I love it.
Creative.
So you talked about Miami off camera.
Yeah.
It's the global seat of culture into Latin America.
Absolutely.
You know, it's the marketplace in the U.S. that communicates to the rest of the Spanish-speaking world and the Spanish culture. Yeah. And the changing demographics of the United States is much more Hispanic. And Hispanics are trendsetters and culture definers as a category. How often now are clients coming to you for general strategy versus a, you know, Hispanic marketing strategy, just because they understand that Hispanics are not a monolith? They're not, you know, they're essentially a general market conversation and strategy.
So yeah, great question, Dylan. And I have to say that as we think of Miami, first of all, I'll talk to you about Miami.
Yeah.
So as we think of Miami, Miami has been really important to our business, right?
Yeah.
And I say that because we're based in Miami, and just the international flair of living there, of being there, of breathing the air, of just being connected to the culture and the people and the food, and just, I think over these 20 years has made our work.
It's a very cosmopolitan city.
It's made our work richer, right?
Yeah.
It's made our work better, and we have a big presence in New York, and we do work all over as Republica Havas, but definitely Miami has been key. We're now building on that, and if those of you know Miami, we have the Republica Havas building right on Coral Way, which is like a main street in Miami. It connects downtown Miami to Coral Gables, not far from the airport, about 20 minutes from South Beach.
Amazing.
And I kind of give you the location.
Yeah.
So that building is now what we call a village. Havas has villages around the world, right? So that's the Miami village. What does that mean? That we've got creative, we've got our health practice, we've got our media practice, we've got our production and activation.
There's folks from all over the
everybody,
network
we're all kind of in the same building, then we're together, and that's what's now the Havas Miami Village.
That's cool.
So I'm thrilled that we now have Havas Miami, because what that's doing is we're positioning that as Havas North America's international hub. So kind of an entry point for brands that international brands that want to come into the U.S. And I'm proud to say that we're working with several, including we just announced recently Olive Oils of Spain. Olive Oils of Spain. They want to reach consumers, American consumers, with this extraordinary product, which is Spain's olive oil is one of the best in the world, if not
totally.
the best.
You think about Italian,
right? I was going to say, but
has a
exactly, but that's our
connotation,
tension.
Spain,
As a marketer, that's our tension.
Right,
People think Italy, but no, Spain's got the best. We believe that.
That's cool.
So we're going to be promoting that in a big way to America,
That's
to
awesome.
Americans, right? So that's an example. So Havas Miami, I think, is such an opportunity for Havas, right, to keep growing, like you were saying. And what Miami is, it's truly, it's become many things, right? It's become a tech hub.
Yeah.
You've got
crypto.
a lot of
It's probably
crypto.
like the seat of crypto in America.
I think of the top 10 billionaires,
about
6 or 7 now live in Miami, in Miami proper, which is crazy.
Yeah, and also just a lot of people leaving New York, frankly, moving to Miami.
And Silicon Valley.
And Silicon Valley,
you've got Sergey Brin and Larry Page living
and all the
in
beautiful
Miami.
people from LA left LA and moved to Miami.
So you've got Jeff Bezos, you've got all these guys that are now Zuckerberg. All these guys are now living in Miami, right? So what's happening, what's converging in Miami is pretty powerful, right? So we definitely, as Havas, have a huge opportunity with that. And then when you kind of couple that, which is what has been Republica's mission the last 20 years, which is reaching cross-cultural consumers. If you think about the population of the United States, since the pandemic, 100% of population growth has come from multicultural audiences, which is extraordinary. And then, like you're saying, the largest, chunk of that is Hispanic.
Yep.
You look at U.S. Hispanics, and it's nearing 70 million people. Think about that.
Yeah,
it's got greater GDP than many.
California might be the majority, I think. Right?
Well, you've got California,
Very
you've got
close,
Texas, you've got Florida, you've got New York, Illinois. Those are kind of
the hubs.
and a lot of the major cities is where you got a lot of Latinos. Although you do have Latinos in kind of emerging markets too, like Raleigh or Atlanta or other places like that. But it's definitely happening, right? So going back to what you were saying, at Havas, for us, it's about having a seat at the table from the beginning, right? It's about making sure that cross-cultural is there as part of that pitch, as part of that client presentation, and it's not kind of like an add-on after
it's
the
not
fact.
just working with a multicultural department.
No,
it's part of the main strategy.
It's and to the team's credit, and as I was saying earlier, Donna Murphy and others at Havas that really believe this, right? We're really seeing that commitment, from Havas leadership all over. And speaking of Donna, it was the summer before we announced our deal with Havas. Donna at the time, Murphy, used to run the health division of Havas. Havas Health. Today she runs both the health and the creative side. But at the time she was running the health side, and she said, "You guys at Republica, you guys have some great health clients." And I said, "Yeah, we got this one, we got this one, we got this one." She goes, "Once you guys finish your deal with Havas, give me a call. We're gonna grow a cross-cultural health practice."
Wow.
Proud to say today, Republica Havas Health is one of the largest cross-cultural health practices and companies in the world.
That's amazing. Congrats.
Working with major brands and companies, including Sanofi and many others. But that's been that commitment from Havas, right? We're as somebody that's been at this, as you know, I was in media, I was in the entertainment business, I was in sports. I've done a lot in this space over my career, And I feel like historically at times on the Hispanic multicultural side, we have to continue to preach to people that need to get converted.
Right? You have to explain why it's an important market, why it's Havas, a powerful consumer block.
At Havas, my colleagues get it, and we've seen that evolution over the years. My team has seen the evolution, of really today, most key opportunities and pitches and client opportunities. Republica's at the table. So that's what's important, right? Because I think it's important to walk the talk, and I'm proud to say this is a place that does that, and and here we are, 20 years after founding the agency and 8 years since joining Havas.
That's awesome.
So it's been awesome.
Well, congrats on all the amazing work.
Absolutely.
Any other exciting thought leadership that you have coming up for the week that you want to tease? You speaking on any panels or
I'm speaking on a panel on Thursday.
Okay, what's it about?
I'll be speaking. It's actually about what we were just talking about.
All right.
It's about the growth signal in these audiences,
Beautiful.
right? So I'll be doing that on Thursday. I'm on the board at the 4As.
Oh, come in.
I represent Havas on the board of the 4As. So I'll be doing a few things with them actually tomorrow. So I'm doing things throughout the week. But I think one of the coolest things was going back to what I was saying earlier here this morning at the Havas Cafe. Yannick Bolloré announced what we're calling the science of desire.
Yep.
And it's all about, as humans, how do we go after those moments and those points where we make a decision in that purchase funnel, right, to go with this for this item or the brand or what have you, right? At Havas, we're now calling that desire, right? It's like, what is that desire that person has, right? And I like the term because it's got, it kind of evokes different things.
Sure.
When you hear the science of desire,
but
at
it's sexy.
You said it, I didn't. No, but
it's very Miami.
Right, but there's something cool about that because I always talk about that what we do, there's always science behind the art. A consumer may see an incredible billboard with a great headline and some amazing art and graphics, but what took that agency or that client to come up with that?
There was a lot of intention in there.
There's a lot of intention,
there,
right?
Yeah.
So now what we're going to be putting into that kind of, as we decipher the whole thing through what we call our converged ecosystem at Havas, which is where all of this, all of our tools live within our converged ecosystem. We're now going to have kind of this process called the science of desire, and it's out. It's work that's public as of today, so anybody can go and access. This study that we just did around the world with 84,000 consumers around desire.
That's awesome.
So that was announced this morning, and there's just a lot going on. Ad Age this year talked to a few of us that they called can veterans.
Nice, yeah.
About what do we recommend to new people?
Yeah.
That if this is their first can. And what I said, people talked about relationships and all that's so important. I think the most important part of can is this.
The kind of
connecting with humans is the most important part because I think it's what you take with you. That said, I would say just coupled with that is the work. Really take in the work. Go to the Palais, really take in the case studies, take in that
the global
work.
hub of creativity. I mean,
Correct.
being able to like you see what I always wonder why Brazilians are so interspersed throughout our agency culture.
Sure.
And I've interviewed amazing Brazilian creative directors like. Some are they're amazing ones. There's a lot of Brazilians over-index as creatives, and I always ask them.
Has a lot too.
Argentina too, and I ask them. I say, what do you think it is that drives that ability for so many Brazilians to be in the U.S. market as creative leaders? And I think it's doing more with less. Having smaller budgets, having less channels.
Scrappy.
You have to be really scrappy in order to solve creative problems and punch above your weight class, and I think that's it's important to go study what other countries are doing too.
Absolutely. Listen, I was born in the U.S. My parents were Cuban. So I'm the son of exiles, right? So the way I think is pretty nimble and scrappy, and how I approach it, entrepreneurship. I mean, we always got to do things right. I'm not afraid to roll up my sleeves and do whatever needs to get done. And I think that's what I like to promote on my team too, right? That we're all in it together. We're all here to help each other, and I think, like you're saying, that's a mindset that you bring, and I agree. Brazilians and Latin Americans. I think just by by their reality.
Yeah, I think there was a study of first generation Latin American immigrants like way over indexed for entrepreneurial, small business ownership, things like that.
Absolutely. Well, you look at Miami.
Yeah.
Miami, now it's starting to change, but it's not a big corporate community.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of Fortune 500 companies based in Miami. They're mostly, in other markets. Miami is a community that has been built on small businesses and mostly by Hispanics.
Yeah.
Mostly, we've had clients at Republica over the years that we work with a big grocery store chain in Florida, and when we were first hired, we were hired by the first generation, right? Wow. So we were hired by the parents and the grandparents, right? Mm-hmm. We've had this client now going on 19 years. Those people, a lot of them are now in heaven. But we're still working on a handshake that I did with the parents.
So wild.
And some of those guys really didn't even know English,
yeah.
but they built these huge companies, a lot of wealth, and a lot of success, because they catered to their community.
That's the American dream.
It's the American dream, and we're still working with that brand based on a handshake. On a handshake from almost 20 years ago with the guys in heaven. But it says a lot about our culture too. The way we are as a culture. But yeah,
do
man,
what you're gonna say.
Absolutely, it's so important. But yeah, man, it's always great to be back at Cannes. It's always great to be with clients, to be with my colleagues, to be with colleagues from other networks. It's a great place just to get together and really, just take it all in, right? I remember one year I was hearing a client that was saying, I was like, oh, what do you have scheduled this week? He said, nothing.
That's cool.
I said, what do you mean?
I did that my first time.
He said nothing. I said, what do you mean? He goes, no, I'm just meandering and taking everything in.
That's pretty cool.
But I think that's also cool too, right?
White space to discover, go with the flow.
Especially as things are changing so fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's just to take in, what is Spotify doing? What is Pinterest doing? What is the Journal House doing? What is everybody? Just taking it all in. Adobe. I mean, you name it. I mean, there's just so much content to take in, right? And obviously at the Palais, the same thing. There's just so much content there. So I think I would say it's a little bit of both, right? So it's
maybe a healthy balance.
Right, it's a healthy balance.
It's the right way to do it.
It's a healthy balance.
I do appreciate that impulse to just be totally serendipitous. I mean, I think if you're a client, you probably have more freedom to do that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We've got
they have the access to everything they want to go to, and all the invites and stuff. But I think that it is. If you overschedule yourself, you miss a little bit of the magic.
So you got a problem. You're here Thursday night?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a big party.
Oh, perfect.
Big party. Yannick Bolloré, our chairman, he DJs.
No way, that's amazing.
So it's a great party that we do here every year on Thursday night. It's early in the evening. We have like what we call the Havas family dinner, where we all get together as a team, and then we open it up to friends.
I love it. Well, I'll definitely stop by.
It'd be great to have you here, Dylan, and thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on. When
you're
in Miami, please stop by.
I will definitely do that. I definitely come through for Possible every year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe hopefully.
Yeah, everybody comes in for Possible now. That's like the cool thing.
I'm trying to think of when else I go to Miami. That's the big one. But
but come by.
I love that.
Come by. We'll we love to have you, and there's a lot of cool things happening in Miami now. F1.
Yeah.
Well, the World Cup is happening as we speak. I went to the first World Cup game in Miami before flying
before you
here.
Came out.
Yeah, so
how was it?
It was the Iraq. I'm sorry, not Iraq. Excuse me. Saudi Arabia and Uruguay.
Nice.
And it was a
exciting time.
Yeah, it was a great time. It was fun. It's just great to have that in your hometown.
Yeah,
right?
it's a lot of energy. It's
the fact that you can drive to World Cup games is pretty cool.
It's a good moment for North America for sure.
Yeah, so, it's a great.
Or Americas.
It's a great moment for the Americas, right? Yeah. For Mexico, for North America, USA, and for Canada, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, man. And 4 years from now, it'll be here in Europe.
That's crazy.
It'll be in
a blink of an eye. It feels like those moments come around a lot. You think of a LA 28, and then it's here.
It's crazy. Yeah, that's. They were telling me the other day. Now they're starting to think of like putting groups together for like Olympics 2038 or something like for the U.S.
Takes a lot of planning.
Oh man, it's crazy. know. So anyway, a lot of cool things going on, and great to have you here at the cafe.
Yeah.
It's been nice to have this AC.
I know,
right?
It's been a nice break,
like
right?
Nice respite in here with Dylan. But thank you. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Well, if folks at home want to follow along with your thought leadership or learn more about Havas Republica or the network, where would you like people to stay in touch and tune in?
Sure. Well, they could go to Republica Havas. They could go to Jorge Plasencia. Or follow me on LinkedIn, or connect on LinkedIn. Happy to do that. Or follow us on LinkedIn, or all the above.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, we'll make sure to link to all that in the show notes.
Absolutely.
Thanks for spending some time with us.
No, good. Thank you, and thank you for doing this for the industry.
Anytime.
It's important.
I love to highlight voices and get people's stories out there. It's just a great opportunity to use the platform that I've built to share great thought leadership. So always appreciate having insightful guests like yourself.
Oh, thanks, Dylan. And I'll see you Thursday night.
We'll see you Thursday night.
And
you heard it here in Miami. Not just on Possible Week.
And then back at the south of France next year.
Definitely.
So thank you, guys.
Right. Thanks, everybody.
On YouTube. Finding the right audience to build a media plan requires hours of research. And optimizing campaigns is time-consuming and a bit of a guessing game. That's why we built technology